Good morning, friends. It's Wednesday, which means it's Real Estate Live with Megan Day. I have been trying to come up with a name for these lives, and everything I come up with is just really cheesy or silly. So we're just going to call it Real Estate Lives with Megan. At first, I thought Wednesday, something about Wednesdays, but if we have to change the day, then that would be silly. But anyway, so thanks for watching. Today we're going to be talking about home inspections. And you'll notice that I'm in my basement. Check out Lady Liberty in the background. She's holding up her torch with pride. It's cloudy outside and raining. So I'm not going to complain about the rain because we need the rain here in Utah, and I've got some window replacements happening upstairs. So if you hear banging, that's what that is. So what to expect when home inspecting? If you haven't purchased a home before, or home inspections can sound scary and stressful to any purchaser, whether it's your first home or your fifth home. And so part of what I like to do is educate people about that process and how that works, so that when it comes time for home inspection, we're not surprised. It's not stressful. We have a plan. We're ready to go, and we're ready to take action to keep that deal together. So I'm going to talk about how home inspection works. We're going to do this like Q&A style. So I have just a couple of questions that I have collected, and some answers and some opinions, and we're going to get going. So if you have any other questions that I don't talk about home inspection, just in general, not like, hey, check out my wall outlet and tell me what you think. I obviously am not a professional. I cannot talk to you about specific issues, but I can give you advice on the process. So let's get started. I am going to reference my notes because I have them written down, and my memory is just not that great when it comes to specific things I want to say. So question number 1, will the home inspector inspect every feature of the home? The home inspector must inspect certain features that are required by state law, and may inspect additional components or features at his or her discretion. If you as a buyer see something that you would like the inspector to take a look at, and you were there with him, you could ask him or her. Inspector could be female. Anyway, if the inspector sees something that's maybe outside of what they normally inspect, that's a specific thing, like a pool pump looks like it might be leaking, or the roof might have some kind of special situation, or maybe I don't know, it could be unique. So at that point, the inspector would say, hey, I think that there may be an issue, and I think that you should hire somebody that is specific to that issue. So if the home has a pool, he might say, hey, you need to bring in a pool inspector to take a look at that. And as a buyer, that is your right to inspect all of the things that come with the home. And during that due diligence period, if you find something that you don't like, or that is scary, and you're not willing to purchase the home because of that issue, you may back out of your contract. But that is the last thing we want to see happen. We want to make sure everybody's happy. So there are ways to work on that. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. Anyway, so the inspector is, the things that he's always going to inspect are like foundations, electric, home systems. He's always going to look at that stuff, but he might refer you out to somebody who is a more specific professional in maybe foundation issues, pool issues, electrical issues, roofing. Mold is a big one. So so that's what happens. Next question. Can I ask the home inspector to look at a specific component of the home or items? Yes. So I kind of mentioned that just a minute ago. You may request that your inspector checks out or specific components of the home, as long as they are readily accessible and not beyond the scope of the inspection. Because as the buyer, you are paying for the home inspection. So you are paying for the service and you have a right to ask for things. And so sometimes if you ask for something that's like outside of the scope, they'll recommend you to somebody else, like we just talked about, or it could be, it would just be, discussed with the inspector prior to the inspection. Again, can you ask for specific items to be inspected? Example, the pool. He might not be a pool professional. He might defer to a pool inspector. And at that point, your inspector most likely will have a recommendation for you to call whoever they recommend, or you can choose your own person, but sometimes it's nice to get recommendations. And that way you can set up an inspection with that person, but it needs to happen during the due diligence period of the contract. So that's where things can get a little hectic sometimes if your inspector comes out and says, hey, I think you should bring in a specialized person for X, Y, and Z. Lining up those people for X, Y, and Z within that certain time period could be a little bit stressful, but don't fret, it'll get done. Next question. May all of the problem areas mentioned in the home inspector's report be listed as defects or notice of defect for the offer to purchase? No. The home inspection report will look at property condition in a general fashion and may list many property conditions that are not serious enough to fit the definition of a defect in an inspection contingency. Next question. What does the home inspector include in the home inspection report? So in your offer to purchase, a buyer must evaluate whether there are any defects listed in the home inspection report to which the buyer objects and which the buyer wants the seller to fix before you will continue with your purchase of the property as the buyer. A defect, I'm going to read this word for word because I want to make sure that I'm saying this correctly. A defect is defined as a structural, mechanical, or other condition that would have a significant adverse effect on the value of the property, significantly, can't talk today, impair the health and safety of future occupants, or if not repaired, removed, or replaced, significantly shorten the life of that item or the property. I kind of said that wrong, but I'm like jumbling my words this morning. I'm sorry, guys. So it has to be like a serious thing. I always like to, let me turn these monitors back on so you can see me. I always like to tell people, health and safety issues that pop up in inspection, we're almost always going to ask the seller to work with us on those because it's really just, health and safety. But other things that might not be as serious, depending on the market, depending on your contract, depending on the other conditions of your contract, it may be easier as the buyer to just take on those home maintenance problems yourself. And those are things that your realtor will be able to help you identify which to ask for. Next question. Should I always give a notice of defects? The decision is made on a case-by-case basis, depending upon the circumstances in which is best for you, which is what we just talked about. And so your realtor will go over the pros and the cons of asking for certain things, and your realtor might even just take that inspection report, go through it, pull out the things that they know are probably the most important, and highlight those and go over those with you and talk about how you want to either ask the seller for repairs or ask the seller to pay to fix those things. And sometimes that might be a lower price, a lower sales price. It just depends how that is negotiated, because again, this is part of the real estate purchase contract and the whole thing is negotiable, and that is what we do as realtors. So things that you should remember: no home is perfect, not even a new build. Your home inspection report will have repairs that you may need to take care of, or identify maintenance issues that could be something that you need to take care of after you purchase the home. It's just a really good look at what's going on with the house that you are either going to buy or you are not going to buy. I always recommend that we get a home inspection. And just remember that negotiation is how this works. So things that come back on the inspection that you don't like is not necessarily a deal breaker. So don't stress out about it. there are workarounds, there's fixes, there's, things that can be done. So that's why I say, like, don't stress about it. You'll get through it. And it might be really obvious after a home inspection that there are things that, you just aren't willing to take on. But that's the point of a home inspection. So anyway, make sure you attend your home inspection. Your realtor, I like to tell people to come like the last hour of the inspection. So the inspector can spend most of his time doing the work, and then at the end, he can go over the main systems of the house. He can tell you things like where the water shutoff is or where the gas shutoff is, and he can talk about glaring issues if there are any, or what he, give you a summary of what's going on. I always see it itching my face again. I can't stop. Anyway, I always recommend to buyers not to come for the whole thing. I mean, they can, you're paying for the inspection, but there's a fine line between getting in the inspector's way and being there to, chat with him or her about the house. So I always recommend coming at the last hour, but your realtor will usually always be there. And you should ask your realtor to be there for the inspection. That is my advice. Ask your realtor to be there for the inspection. And if they can't be there, ask them if there is a colleague or a coworker or even their broker that can attend. It's really important to have somebody else there on your behalf. I'll get off my soapbox now. So thanks for watching, guys. I have a friend who is a home inspector. His name is Dustin, and I had been just talking to him a couple weeks ago about maybe coming on here and doing an interview, or maybe providing some information about home inspections, or I don't know. It's not fully formed in my mind. But if you would like to talk to a home inspector, or like me to talk to a home inspector, let me know in the comments, because I think that would be some really valuable information that I could post here and share. Anyway, I hope you have a good rest of your week. I hope you have a good weekend. Yeah, I mean, October's coming in. It's mid-month already, people. Winter is coming. What are you doing? What are you doing for Halloween? I just bought my kid a costume. She wanted to be a cheetah, so I ordered it online. I can't wait till it gets here. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Talk to you later. Bye.